So actually, what I wanted to start with was what isn't transformation in a sense, because most of us, and certainly I say that for myself, most of us, most of the time, exist in a realm of survival, personal identity with this person here that I call Landon Carter. And that's our kind of residual default position. And so, and a lot of people operate from that all the time. And so if you kind of think about that, you see that it's made up of all of the beliefs and opinions and decisions and what other people say and what you know to be true. All those kind of things make up that context, and we were born into it. So we kind of took it, as they say in fishing, hook, line, and sinker. I mean, it's like there wasn't a choice, really, and it's not our fault that that's kind of who we turned out to be, so to speak. Is this, this person living in a survival context where our ego is basically trying to survive, and there's certain habits and mechanisms and things that make that up and continue that process in a kind of an ongoing nature or ongoing. And so it's almost as if we're sleepwalking through life, no joke. And some people who are very successful in life, they're still sleepwalking. They just happen to be doing some things that tend to work. And all of us have that. I mean, we have aspects of our life that work and aspects of our life that don't work. And we'd like to, quote, change those. And most people go to coaching for that. And then if you're, as most people do, most people then say, okay, we're going to try to get you better. And we're going to try to, we'll come up with some strategies so you have more of what you want, so you can do more of what you want, and then that'll make you happy. Then you'll be happy. So a lot of coaching, unfortunately, is done, and therapy and a lot of other things is done at a totally the wrong level, from my opinion. It's like operating at the wrong level of reality. It's operating in the illusion, as we talk about from that perspective. And I mean, it's totally natural. I mean, I played football. I actually even got some pro offers. So I, became a champion college Yale football player. But you start off on that by saying, well, let's see, I got to go. I have to have more muscle, and so I go to the gym. And I do gym, get muscle, and then I do running to build up my running so that I have more ability to then run and tackle and and block, and I practice and I do all that stuff, and then maybe I make the team, and then finally, oh my God, I've made it. I am a star football player, and then I'll be happy. Well, that's kind of working bass backwards, quite frankly. That's working from, and that we're entrained that mostly we say, okay, if I have the things, they'll make me happy. If I go on vacation, I'm going to be happy. If I have more money, I'll be more happier, etc. And this is, it's okay, because that's the way most people operate. And sometimes you do get some more money, with a lot of struggle usually. That doesn't necessarily make you happy. I've coached a lot of people who have lots of money, and it doesn't make them happy, I can tell you.
Totally.
So we end up in this world with our ego literally at effect. And that's our position. It's not, don't blame yourself, and when you see it, but it's a victim mentality. It's like, I am a victim. I'm a victim of the outside circumstances. Because if I could change the outside circumstances, then that will change my internal experience. being happy, being satisfied, being peaceful. I got to get rid of that situation so I can be more peaceful and more relaxed, blah, blah, blah. I got to do a lot of meditation so I can get relaxed and, more yoga, and then I get more relaxed and, and whatever, So it's always kind of doing something, getting, better, doing different things, or having more of something. So, and that's literally the context that we grew up in. That's how we got trained. Mostly we operate from that place, and none of that is transformation, or it's not in the context of transformation. Now, something you got to know. There is only, and this is when you start to get into reality, and transformation is truly based on the reality of who we are and how we create. And if you look at it, there's only this moment of now ever. You could say there's a successive moments of now, but in fact, now there's only now. And it gives you the idea of successive by the fact that you have lots of memories right now. They're real as memories, but that's the only reality. There's no past. There's only memories. And there's no future. Everybody knows that. That's just a projection. That's a fantasy. It's a visualization of what I'm hoping for, all those kinds of things, but they also exist now. And the other thing is, here you are, I assume all of you are sitting in a chair, I'm sitting in a chair, and right now, can you not sit in a chair when you're sitting in the chair? Sorry, baby, no. When you're sitting in the chair, you're sitting in the chair right now, and right now, and right now. And so, wait a minute, how am I ever going to alter anything? Which is the fundamental question of how do I create my reality from a point of consciousness rather than automaticity. We are always creating our reality. And if you have a victim stance, then you'll create a victim's reality. But you're still the creative force. I mean, we're gods. I mean, in a sense, we're children of God. However you like to hold that. But in fact, we are the creative force in our life. Now, if you're doing it from a survival context or within a survival context, you're creating that mess, that drama, that whatever it is. So here we go again. Only this moment of now. Well, if I can't do anything different, I certainly have the same things I have right now. So the only thing that can ever shift with it, which is how or who are you being right now? And that shift from who you were to who you, quote, want to be, we'll just hold it that way, is transformation. Now, there's a whole bunch of stuff around it, and I'll talk about that. So I've got a few little things here. So this is you, going through life. Things are good. I'm a lovable little teddy bear. My partner loves me, or she doesn't. Of course, I wanted to be with her because she made me happy. And then I want to get rid of her because she doesn't make me happy. And then I want to get somebody else because they make me happy. Anyway, same old like that. But here I am. And the problem is, it's like you're an actor who took on a role. And by the way, you do that as you're growing up with your parents and with the conversation you're born into and the traumas you have and the decisions you make and all those things. And you play the role over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And then you end up thinking, that's me. So if I were to say, well, hi, I'm Landon Carter. Who are you? Or you'd say, well, I'll just be me. I'm Landon Carter. I'm a husband. I have a wife named Diane, and we live in New Zealand. I'm a New Zealand citizen. I am a New Zealand citizen. And oh yes, I teach transformation and blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. That's you as an actor totally collapsed into your role, thinking you're the role.
That's you identify, like that's you creating your own identity and only identifying with that, right?
Exactly. Only identifying with this. And part of that is, which is something that we get into when we do this integrating transformation technology course, which is a 12-week course that John Hanley and I do, which, I mean, drills down into this stuff in total detail. We really work on really being able to make this shift that I'm going to be outlining. Okay, so here you are going through life, and I'm going to come back to it, but I want to give a model for all of us. So then what happens is you have to kind of suddenly start to see yourself in action. Now, mostly we look at the world from here out, from our eyes out, and we deal with all the stuff out here in the world. Oh yeah, there's somebody said this, I got to deal with it. I have a reaction, blah, 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 blah. Oh, this is my circumstance. How can I change it? How can I control it? Blah, 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 you know, all that stuff. Okay, so what happens is we need to move our locus of attention from here, our plane of our eyes, to about a foot behind our head. We need to start to see ourselves in action. In other words, how am I showing up right now? Now, let me just leave it at that for a moment. How am I showing up right now? So now this is who you are. This is my coffee thing. It goes like this. In the morning it goes like this, but now for the demonstration it goes like this. This is who you are, which is nothing. You are the space, the conscious, aware space. The I exist space within which all things are arising and passing away. Now that's the truth. Now, so what happens is you actually start to extract yourself somewhat from this identity to see yourself in action. Now, no two things can occupy the same space in the same unit of time. And by the way, this body and how I'm showing up exists in time and space, sitting in this chair in New Zealand. So what I need to do, and I'm going to come all back to this, but what we need to do is we need to let go of this. Now, first of all, you can't let go of what you don't own. So you have to know it. And that's the whole thing about knowing thyself. You have to know this intimately. And by the way, in our integrating transformation technology course, we spend weeks really diving into how does this work? How does that whole thing work? So we can know ourselves intimately, and the mechanisms and the habits and how they create reality, and how our interpretations create how other people show up for us, and then how we interact with that. The whole drama you have to really get, familiar with in such a way that you can own it. And by the way, I just remember growing up wondering, how in the hell does it work? This is all so mysterious. And here I am, and nobody gave me the operating manual for being a human being on planet Earth. And
Landon, it's so different than what society, right, or what the environments that we grow up in teaches us, which is we're not enough. We need something outside of us. We need to do more. We need to have more in order to be more. And you're saying that it's the opposite of that, and we got to find it inside of us. But we can't look through our own eyes. We have to literally be able to zoom past and see ourselves in that.
Good, perfect. Perfectly said, Peter. Perfectly said. Okay, so now what I need to do is let go of this so that I can put, this is my little angel, this is your more evolved self, right? So that I can create this way of being. So first of all, I have this, then I have to have emptiness. Now it all happens instantaneously. I let go of this, my old way of being, and into space, into emptiness, I can create a new way of being through declarations. And I'll talk about that. It's one of the 7 steps of transformation. Okay, so if you hold that model in your mind, that you start here, then you start to extract yourself so you can start to see yourself in action, and start to move your identity away from this stuck personality, so to speak. Then through knowing it intimately, you're able to let it go, create emptiness and space, and into emptiness and space, you can create a new way of being. All right? Okay. So everybody can hold that in their mind. I invented that. I woke up one night and thought, oh, that's not, while I'm here lying awake in bed, I might as well.
We've had a couple people, Landon, say that they love the props and they want to borrow that using props in their own presentations. And
yeah, it really works. It really works. Okay. So here's as Yang said, old school 7 steps of transformation. By the way, just not much of a promo, but my book, Living Awake, it's on Amazon, Living Awake by Landon Carter, on Amazon, and it has it in it. So everything I've talked about is here in great detail. And by the way, we use that as a manual in our integrating transformation technologies, plus some other references and books and things like that. But that's one of them for sure. Okay, so the 7 steps of transformation. 1, recognize. I'm going to come back to each of these. 1, recognize. 2, and then you anyway. By the way, it's recognize that you're upset, that you're in trouble, that this, I don't like this. This is not what I want. I'm depressed. I'm angry. I'm sad. I'm all of the things that would be an indicator of this isn't the reality that I want to be in. So the recognize, and I'll come back to it. Then the next one is be responsible. So this is the shift from I am a victim or I'm at effect. And this is a major transformation right here, by the way, to being willing to look at yourself and the world around you from the perspective of I am cause in the matter. In other words, I'm creating it by how I'm showing up, by my attitudes, by what I say, by what I don't do or say, what I allow to happen, all of that. So that's the taking a responsible stance. That shifts your perspective, your perceptive mechanisms in your brain and so you start to see different data. It's the same things occurring, but you see other aspects of it that you had ignored before because of your victim stance prior. Okay, then there's the whole discovery process. This is the learning about yourself, finding out about this pattern that is showing up, this thing that's causing your relationship to go into downhill and into a drama that keeps repeating itself over and over again. How do you extract yourself from that? So you got to learn. That's the discovery process. Then there's the letting go and forgiving yourself, forgiving others. And that's the process of creating emptiness, of creating the no thingness with which it's space within which you can now declare anew. By the way, you originally declared who you are, but you did it unconsciously. You kind of took in what society was saying, that you're not good enough, you're not okay. And it also said you're separate. Those are 2 basic mistakes that we all have made. And we then live out of those. And there's a whole way we live out of those, trying to prove we are okay, and whole strategies and things that you got to kind of get very familiar with. But anyway, so now here we are again. In the beginning was the Word. And in the beginning of your new way of being is the word I am. And then let's say, let me give you an example. So I might just say, I am a loving, authentic, just leave it at male, living in a sustainable world where there's enough for everyone. Now, I still may not be always loving, but I've created who I'm intending to be and who I'm willing to true up to. And I may not always find evidence for it's a sustainable world. But I'm taking a stand for that. I'm committed to that. That's the world I live in. I'm one that's more easy for most people to say is I'm a loving, a caring, authentic man in a trusting world, or one in which I trust people. Now, does that mean I don't ever get nailed? Yeah, periodically someone betrays me and betrays the quote trust. But that's not the world I choose to live in. I choose to live in a world in which I trust people, because most people show up that way when I trust them.
I want to say something, Landon. This is brilliant, because this is you still being at choice. Right?
Totally.
Because there's events that happen outside of us. There could be good events, could be bad events. Which one of these do we look at and say, that's the world we live in? How many people see a bad event and say, that's the world we live in right now?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So then there's the practice. So now you're a beginner. I mean, here you are, this new angelic self that you've always wanted to be, and man, you're unpracticed. I mean, here's a little fun one. Just put your hands together in your normal clasping your hands, okay? And it feels comfortable, etc. Now, what I want you to do is just reverse the top finger and the thumbs, reverse it to the other way. Feels strange, really feels strange, right?
Yeah.
Really strange. And by the way, try to do it without, if you go like this, you go right back to the natural way. So, you've spent years practicing this guy or this gal. And so now you've got to practice and be willing to be a beginner and a learner in this new way of being and get feedback. But remember, who you are is not this new way of being. You're the creator. You're the consciousness. You're the awareness. The I am whole and complete consciousness that is creating this new way of being. So can you take feedback? Of course. It's not you. You're not attached. You're not reactive. You're not resistant. You can handle things as they show up. You're not somebody pushes the button and you react and light up like a Christmas tree and then create all this drama. No more. You're able, because you're creating this way of being. And I don't mean you're not passionate. Oh, you can be passionate as can be, but you're not holding a rigid position and being righteous about it and making other people wrong. And you've got to win and they got to lose. And all of that old behavior of an ego causing its own survival or trying to survive. Eventually you get to mastery, where you don't even have to think you're not even aware anymore. It's not like you I'm sitting there somewhere where you've recollapsed into this way of being, yet you're conscious. You're consciously in it, but you're not separate from it. Because when you move to an observer self, there's a sense of separation. It's a tool. It's very close to who you are when you're observer self, but it's also a slight separation. And in mastery, you collapsed back into this chosen way of being, and then out of that, it's like it's a skill. You can, in that domain in which you're a master, you show up and you contribute to others, and anyway, it's a whole wonderful dance, because you can still keep learning and creating even new ways of expressing that mastery in that domain. Okay, so the moves, if you go back now to recognize. So here's the problem. I'm asleep. God love us. We go to sleep real easy, and we think, and the problem is that whatever's showing up in your mind, you don't know whether that's just the monkey mind bringing up things, or is it a reaction, or is it actually a creative thought? Because it shows up on the same screen. And so you've got to kind of have a way of catching yourself to wake up. And the best way I know of is to really know when you're upset. So if you've withdrawn, if you feel annoyed, if you feel angry, if you feel sad, if you feel depressed, if you feel distant from people, if you're judging people, you know, all those kind of things where you're resisting the way things are, you're making other people wrong and being, all of that is an upset. I label it all as an upset. And so, and those you can catch, because if you just have to be a little bit aware and you're watching for them. And as soon as you see them, you stop the action, move to that observer self. That's the first move, is, and recognize, get the observer self turned on. Then the second move is shift from I'm at the effect of this circumstance, of what this person said, of what's going on in my life. It could be horrendously painful or whatever, but you don't resist it. It's just something to deal with. Yeah, it can be, challenging. Really challenging. But hey, it's also, it too will pass if you don't resist it, because what you resist persists. That's another little law of the universe. Okay, so that's the thing move. Now I'm starting to look at the evidence, what my body sensations are, what my emotions are, what my thoughts and ideas are, what have other people said about this, what are my beliefs, etc. And then what are the incidents from the past that are similar incidents from the past? Where did all this come from, so to speak? And maybe I can go all the way back to when I was a kid and a dog bit me, and ever since I've been afraid of dogs. And of course I hate roses because there happened to be roses there at the time, and they bring me back in the smell. And every time I smell a rose, I feel sick in my stomach, and I have this pain in my left leg where the dog happened to bite me. None of which I can explain from being an adult, and I don't know why I hate dogs so much, and I hate anybody that likes dogs, and it goes on and on. You see.
One thing, Landon, really quickly. Stephen asked me to explain it again, and I just want to make sure that I'm understanding as well. What you're what you know here is that you're saying that people have this unconscious reaction to things, and we're often not even consciously aware of it. And for you to bring consciousness to it, it doesn't mean to never snap or be triggered, but have the awareness of when you're doing it, and then shift back into your authentic self.
Exactly. Very good. Yeah, very good. Because and this is why the 7 steps of transformation happen over time. You go from one to the other. It's kind of like, I've always been the metaphysical slug, the spiritual metaphysical slug. Okay, tell me how to do it. What's the first step and what's the second step? I've done thousands of hours of meditation, 40 days of sitting from 4 a.m. till 10 at night, and then being awake all night as well. And then meditation. So I've done a lot of stuff. What the hell was my point? And yet it doesn't happen with just once. What'll happen is you become less and less attached to that pattern. And as that occurs over time, so for example, let's say the first time you had this big row with your boss or whatever it was, or your spouse, that's an easy one. So, and then at night you kind of lie there in bed and you go, oh my God, geez, I really screwed up there. I was this righteous asshole, like that. So you kind of got a little perspective on it, but it was in the past. So then the next time, I'm going to shorten this. The next time, in the middle of doing it, you wake up. Oh my God, I'm sorry, sweetheart. And I see, and I kind of get off it. I stop doing what I was doing. It's kind of like an addiction, you see. You have to stop the action. And then I start to get some consciousness on it that time, and it may go like that for a while. And then another time, it'll just start to arise. Oh, she said this. Normally I go, like this, because she criticize, looks like criticism. She was just trying to tell me how to be effective or something like that. And, you know, and looked like criticism. And I hunkered down, and I then started judging her and blaming her and being annoyed with her. And, oh my God, here we go again. I'm not going down that path. So again, now literally you caught it before you started to create any drama. That's great. Then there'll be one more step, which is you'll get to a place where literally it doesn't show up anymore. She could say whatever she said before, it has no effect on you. You're totally neutral. And then you can deal with the situation as the situation, which may require something said or change or whatever. May not require anything. Maybe I got it, sweetheart. I hear you. I'll try to hang up the towels better next time, or, you know, pick up my dirty socks and underwear, you know, whatever, you know.
I'm learning these things now, Landon. My wife and I just got married 10 months ago. So I'm learning these things as we go, for sure. But I love this because like what I'm hearing is that it heightens our compassion for ourselves and others. So as a coach, right, if we have a client that we label as lazy or not doing the work, that's not who they are. That's a behavior that they're exhibiting. When we see that pattern, we now have the awareness to help them shift away from that pattern or see it in ourselves.
Exactly. And the thing that, see, so many people then will go, oh, you're lazy. Well, let me give you 3 things you got to do to stop being lazy. You know, get off your butt, blah, 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 whatever. Forget it. That won't work. That's operating at a totally the wrong level. Because from transformational coaching, I've gotten a lot of the other one, and anyway, whatever. From transformational coaching, they have to start to see how they're creating what is going on in their life and what the cost is, what the payoff is, you know, what they're getting out of it so they can give that up. What attitude they have in the whole process. Are they the victims of whatever the circumstance or this person? There's a lot of things that they need to explore with you, help guiding them in asking the right questions. Then you see there's a, see, let me just stop. Oh yeah. Anyway, then they can create a new way of being. They can let that go and create a new way of being. But now here's another trap. If somebody says, you know, I'm having a lot of problems with my relationship, or whatever. Let's say with my boss and with my business and blah blah blah. And what I'd like to envision, I'd like to create, you know, so much money and so much, you know, this kind of business, blah, blah, blah. So here they are being the way they are, and they're creating a vision of something out there that they would have. And most coaches will say, oh yeah, well, the method to do that is blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Bullshit. That's the wrong, that's the wrong coaching entirely. What they need to see is, you want to create that vision. Totally. I get it. I got it. Let's write it down. Da, 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 da. The question is, who do you need to be appropriate to live within that vision authentically? Where that's an authentic you that fits that vision, you see. So then you're dealing with how you've been that's standing in your way, your blocks and barriers, etc., to who you want to be that fits in that and is appropriate to that vision. And if you're not doing that, you're not doing transformational coaching.
That's helpful. Yeah, super helpful. I just think about that in the context of relationship, right? Before my wife and I met, I was thinking, oh, what do I need to do to attract my partner? And it wasn't about what I needed to do. It was about who I needed to be, who I needed to become. And that more authentic version is what by becoming that more authentic version, I feel like I attracted her into my life in a way. So
actually, I will say by law of attraction that the two of you attracted each other to deal with your insecurities, which, by the way, you will find are actually a matched pair. Let me give you an example. So, for example, both of you feel like you're not okay. Everybody does. So, and my version is I'm not good enough. So, of course, I have spent my life proving that I was okay by being better than everybody. So then I attract women, or in the past, I attracted women that I could help. You see, because they were kind of on the not good enough, needing help, and they'll be good and they'll take care of you, mother you, nurture you, have sex with you, which I wanted, of course, all of that. And so then, of course, my message as I was trying to help her was she's not okay. So then she backs off and criticizes me for being whatever, a male chauvinist pig. And I was, and I mean, it's a perfect dance. But if you're willing to use the relationship as the cauldron and the vehicle for your own mutual, both of you, evolution, it's a perfect vehicle because it'll bring up all the insecurities. And if you then own your side of the upset and really use it as when you get upset with your wife, you say, sweetheart, thank you very much for bringing this up, because obviously it's more, I need to look at this. Obviously it's still there and I'm dedicated to getting rid of it. And I appreciate your bringing it up when you told me what an asshole I was. And then you can sit down and you can explore both sides of it, you see, because you'll find in almost always that both of you are upset at the same time. It's a miraculous, the relationship is a miraculous vehicle for evolution. But I'm telling you how, if you listen to the songs and the poems and things like that, it's all total bullshit, because you got attracted from this deep sense of vibration, law of attraction. But you think, oh, this person's perfect, they're going to take care of me, etc. You fell in love with your fantasy. You didn't know who the real person was. I mean, hopefully you got some of it. But then when the reality starts to show up, you try to change them back into the fantasy. Won't work. That's why Diane and I wrote a book called Falling in Love Backwards. It's also on Amazon, in which we dealt with all those heavy duty issues, because she wasn't it in the beginning and I didn't want to be seen with her in public. And oh my God, she was an angel because she's hung in there. And I went, this is who I want to be with. This is the woman that I can continually create being in love with. And that's how we do it. And it's unbelievably ecstatic and magical, and that it's beyond anything I could have imagined being in this reality. And I had a number of relationships to compare them to. So anyway,
thank you for sharing.
Yeah. So by the way, just a little plug for people. We're going to be doing another of these integrating transformation technologies so that you become a way better coach. But the way you become a way better coach is you've applied it to yourself. And so you're coming out of an authentic knowing. It's not like you got to remember, oh my God, now what are the list of questions I'm supposed to ask this person? And then, I was supposed to do vision first before, and whatever, all that nonsense. And so this course, this 12-week course that we do, that John Hanley and I do, is really integrating what I've been talking about in obviously much more depth and into your particular situation. And we do it with buddies and with small groups, and and every week there's a kind of we take one aspect of it and we move through the process, and then people do homework and in the middle of the week and do sharing and things like that. And we're coming up week 6 right now, about halfway through, and it's going fantastic. And so we're going to be doing another one of those at some point in the not too distant future. We'll do another one. And let's see, couple of other things that kind of get to this transformational context. One of them is there's an Odyssey program coming up, and then we've got a year-long mentor program that John Hanley has put together, and John and I are partners in integrating transformation technology.
Real quick, because I know that some of it, I want to make sure for those that are on, if they do want to look into it, where should they go to find out more?
What they should do is book a call, and Zhang will, who's part of the Triton leadership, as you are, an ad hoc member of the team. Well, no, more than ad hoc, excuse me, Peter. But anyway, a member of the team. Zhang will tell you what the link is to then book a call where we can talk about, kind of what your circumstance is, what you'd like to work on, what's next for you, what could we offer, so that you can explore that. And that's a free call,
Yeah, I encourage you guys to at least look into it, because when you have more self-awareness, when you have a deeper understanding of yourself, you are so much better of a coach, right? And you can help facilitate such a deeper transformation for your clients. And there's a level of congruence. I think that's a word that popped out to me, Landon, when you're just talking about that. Like when I feel congruent and I'm talking to somebody, I show up in such a more powerful place than if I feel like I don't have those skills, or if I'm not, if for some reason I'm not enough there, right? And that's a pattern of mine that I recognize. But this sort of work is sharpening your skills. And again, it's already inside of you, but there's all this stuff that we've kind of covered ourselves with, of stories and beliefs and patterns and things like that. So yeah, I think Zhang dropped the link here. So if you guys want to take a look after, definitely click on that. And I would encourage you to fill out schedule a call.
Yeah. I kind of like just to re-emphasize what you just said, Gandhi, there was a story about Gandhi, and some woman had walked 2 days to see Gandhi. And she came up to him and she said, "Gandhi ji, should I stop eating sugar?" Gandhi says, "Come back in 2 weeks." So she walked home, and then she came back. And Gandhi says, when she came back 2 weeks later, he said, "Yes." She said, "Gandhiji, I will just walk 2 days here, 2 days back, 2 days here, and now I got to walk 2 days back for you to say yes. Why didn't you tell me that 2 weeks ago?" He said, "Because I hadn't stopped taking sugar."
I love that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's what you get by doing I know for sure with the integrating transformation technology course is you get all the benefit yourself. I mean, and then do you want to apply it to others? It'll be a natural, you'll be so grounded in yourself and in the truth of how we as human beings create reality. And that's the key. It's interesting how the mind, when you start to examine it, you'll see how the mind, you say you want to be happy. The first thing the mind gives up is happiness. First thing. It's rather be right. It'd rather be winning. It'd rather survive. It would rather hunker down and withdraw anything to survive and gives up happiness. Boom, like that. That's why, you really owe it to yourself. Your birthright is happiness, but you have to learn how to create that. Some people say that the highest spiritual path is happiness. Being that level of commitment to it. It really is an interesting discipline because the mind is often not your friend.